Hey, what's going on, college football fans? And I'd like to welcome you to tonight's podcast with me, Coach Pops, and my guy, Ronnie B., author and fellow veteran, 509 veteran there, author of Grunts of Wrath. How you doing, Big Ronnie? How's it going today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Man, it's you know what? It's not bad. Me and the wife's been battling a little stuffiness and sore throat and everything. It got a little bit better today, but I'll be honest, got a little sour, little bad taste in my mouth, and today's podcast is going to get a little personal on a couple of things, but we'll get into that later. But anyway, I'd like to again like to welcome everybody onto the show tonight, and it's kind of weird. I'm actually a little nervous about this show, and I don't know why, but I think because I'm going to read some stuff that I put together, and that kind of means something. So to me, anyway. So anyway, with that being said, man, I'll be honest. This week was my long week. I worked nights so I did not get off until Sunday night. So I stayed up half of Saturday to watch some college football, and then I had to go to sleep. I couldn't help it. I'll be like, for instance, I stayed up. I did watch the LSU Arkansas. We almost won again. Like it's just it's effing believable. But then I fell asleep, man. I was watching the South Carolina Texas A&M game, and I was literally sitting there. I was sitting there going, I was falling asleep. I was about to go to sleep. I turned it off. I was like, well, Marcel Reed has played his way out of a Heisman chance, and Texas A&M, well, damn, they did a Texas A&M. They do what Texas A&M. I woke up and I was like, oh my God. I could not believe it was 31. I was like, oh. So
South Carolina pulled the Atlanta Falcon on. They shit the bed Atlanta Falcon style on that.
Man, I'll tell you what. You know what? Hats off to A&M. Hats off to Reed. And I will tell you this. Kyle Stadium, that is one of the toughest, loudest places to play. And to get down the way they did and come back, of course, it was at home for them, but to get down that way and to come back, I mean, I don't care what you say. You don't have to like him, but that was a lot of class and character, a lot of character showed up in that team.
That's a lot of championship heart because they didn't throw in the towel and kept that undefeated record intact. I mean, I was real impressed by it. Like you said, I wasn't particularly watching that game, and then all of a sudden I see what the score's developing into. I'm like, wow, if Carolina's going to really they're going to go a whole half without scoring.
Right.
I mean, the Atlanta Falcon, man, I mean, it's amazing something like that can happen. But no, my hat's off to them for not giving up and throwing in the towel and fighting their way, keeping that undefeated record. Hats off to them.
Right.
And then skipping ahead, I mean, you may have some more comments about Texas A&M, but real quick before we get going, hats off to the Georgia Bulldogs. That was an impressive win at Texas. And then they really dominated them. And then all of a sudden when it looks like Texas is getting back into the ball game, they go onside kick out of the blue.
What? Kirby never makes that call. I don't think I can ever remember Kirby Smart saying, let's do an onside kick. For him to make that call after a touch, brilliant coaching move. I mean, he took everybody by surprise on that. It was
like Texas was got within 4, and they went for it on a 4th down. And then they did the onside kick. They just rolled up a bunch of points. I mean, Arch Manning went forever without getting the ball. And, Georgia, they had a lot of slow starts, but I believe they're peaking. They're peaking now. Georgia is peaking. And, they look good beating Texas. And
they did.
They got a little paycheck game against, Charlotte or something.
Right.
And, get right for Georgia Tech.
That's it.
So, hats off to A&M and the Georgia Bulldogs. Those were some damn, good games there. But that's really all I got for that.
Well, how did your I didn't get to see the game at all, Ronnie, and I can't be any help with this because, like I said, I had to go to work. But you know what? Tell me a little bit about about your Georgia Tech Ramblin' Wreck, baby.
Well, the Ramblin' Wreck, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I want to hear your op-ed and Yeah, I know that 1 point Arkansas loss. I know you got a lot to say about that. Some of the coaching moves or whatever didn't happen in that game, but basically Georgia Tech. That was the most frustrating. That was like the most frustrating win where you score 36 points that I think I've ever watched. I mean, they just went up north, a Southern team playing in Massachusetts. They just seemed flat. They lacked energy. They just lacked energy and motivation. And then they finally woke up at the end of the third quarter. They're down by 11 points at the end of the third quarter against this one-win team. And they just played down to their opponents. But Haynes King, we talk about clutch time, like some people can roll it up all game. You know, when they're down 11 points, Haynes King picked it up. And then he led them on a 69-yard drive at the very end. They got the ball, they're down, and then Haynes King leads them on a 69-yard drive to win the game. There was a little coaching error at the end. Brent Key, it got Georgia Tech, they're deep in the red zone. They can let the clock roll all the way down to 1 or 2 seconds, whatever you need to kick your field goal, and so they're in the position to let it roll, kick the field goal, the chip shot, and win it. And then Brent Key called a timeout with like 14 seconds left, or they're leaving Boston College 14 seconds. And I believe I believe he thought that they picked up he thought they picked up a first down. That may have been why he called it, and so that when he left Boston College 14 seconds, that had my ass chewing the seat to the end of that game because they completed a long pass and put themselves in a position for the Hail Mary. And this offense, Georgia Tech's defense they look like Doug Flutie 1984 Boston College. They were throwing it around. How many they had? They gave up 537 yards after they gave up 583 to North Carolina State. So the defense has got to tighten up. And I'm challenging that Georgia Tech defense. Get your shit together and get it together. Now, our boy Hosley, he had
I like him.
Yeah, he had 107 yards and a touchdown. And one thing I will say on the positive, we've been complaining about Haynes King carrying too much of the load. I believe they had 5 running backs involved in this, and 3 of them had touchdowns, 3 different running backs. So they spread the load. The offense was fine. They got flat in the middle of the game until they realized they had to pick it up. But they were asleep. They were playing down to their opponent. Now it's go time, baby. Now we got Pitt, win that, get to the ACC championship, and then that big game against Georgia in the Benz. All eyes are going to be on, if Haynes King, he's doing his thing. He had 371 yards passing, but if he wants to end up in New York, these next games is where the Georgia game, right. We'll talk about these Heisman contenders.
We got
Yeah, I know we'll get there, but old Gunnar Stockton, boy, he had a hell of a game.
I tell you, Ronnie, I got some really cool, interesting stats. And Chris, I know you're listening from Georgia, I will definitely, you're going to be hearing them here in a minute. And Chris Martin, I forgot to tell you, guys, I apologize. Chris Martin was supposed to be on the show with us tonight. Chris owns his own business down in Louisiana, and he kind of got stuck out in the middle of nowhere. Trust me, I know where he's at, and it was in the middle of nowhere, Louisiana. But he did comment on this as he's driving, as he's now got service. He said to you, Ronnie, LSU wants your coach. I'll take Key at LSU. So, you guys definitely is in demand over there, right?
And I want to say this, though, in kind of response to Chris, it's flattering. I really hope Georgia Tech can hold on to him because he turned around a program that had been in the gutter under Jeff Collins. But Now, I want to mention this, and then I'm going to just turn it over to you. I want to hear all this. I know you got some stuff, but I was listening to the radio today. I listened to the radio, and a couple of the different, prominent Atlanta sports heads were saying that, speaking of this coaching carousel, they were saying the rumor is that Ole Miss, I believe Lane Kiffin is looking at LSU. That's for Chris. I think that Lane Kiffin's given a serious look to LSU. And, what they were saying on the radio was Ole Miss is giving him an ultimatum. Like, they gave him an ultimatum maybe by the last game of the season. You need to let us know whether you're going to stay or you're going to go. And so he could possibly take that. Now, this would be – imagine this. So if Lane Kiffin does take that LSU job, possibly Florida, but the LSU's the rumor. Ole Miss could make the playoff with an interim coach, so that it'd be the head coach is not even, usually you want to ride your team trying to win that national championship. So either they could be in the playoff, there's still a little to go. With an interim coach, Lane could bail on him, or the committee. If let's say Lane did bail on LSU, the committee, just based off that fact, the committee could leave Ole Miss out the playoff, kind of like like a star player, the quarterback gets injured last.
Well, I don't think this will be like a Florida. Well, it wasn't even Florida State. Florida State, when they lost their quarterback, 2 years ago in the national championship, and they had to basically.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
But without a coach, the committee. No, I'm not predicting it, but they were just bringing up some good points that the committee could take that, look at that and use that as an excuse to try to leave them out. But I'm thinking, the rumor is Ole Miss wants a decision. I think Lane Kiffin denied it on the Pat McAfee show.
He did. Yeah.
So things are going to get real interesting. What's crazy about these playoffs? I know they changed, like the transfer portal and all that, but it's like last year, the way the time period for the portal, you had guys transferring away out of teams that were in the playoffs. So
right.
This coaching, and since we always talk about the latest news before we deep dive, your man did take the Virginia Tech job.
Right.
Franklin to Virginia Tech. But no, that's all I've heard for old Chris is LSU likes Lane Kiffin. And Ole Miss is trying to make him,
people are saying that, but you're right, and I was pretty certain I'd heard that too. I just couldn't remember, and I'm glad you said that because Lane did deny that happened. But here's my thing: this is from one coach to some administration people, because I'm telling you, tonight's fixing to get real, dog. I'm fixing to get off. I'm fixing to go off.
I'm ready for it. So I'm Georgia Tech,
I got a few more. I got a few more questions for you about that. But for Ole Miss, if you did give him an ultimatum, shame on you. You know what? Here's how you beat an ultimatum, Ole Miss. If you did do this, and I'm not saying you did, you offer him the money that it takes to keep him. Either you're serious about keeping him, or he's going to be serious about leaving. The ball's in your court, admin. It's not in Lane's court. It's in yours.
That's right. Sounds like you're trying to put the ball in his. Yeah, right.
So you know what? And if you did, admin, as a coach, shame on you for jacking up my season, because I'm telling you, if you did do that, it's created a distraction. Now, Kiffin is probably doing like the whole thing, flying his family down to Baton Rouge. You did all that, you know what? I don't know. You know what? Kiffin is going to do what Kiffin. And if you think that his agent isn't telling him, hey, do this, because all this is a ploy to get more money out of whoever the hell is going to offer it up and take him. Because I guarantee you this, I'm right about one thing. I think. Well, I think I am, because I don't think Kiffin is going to be smart enough and stay at Ole Miss. He's going to take the money. Whoever offers him the money is going to go. But in my opinion, the smart choice is stay at Ole Miss. He's built something there. Ain't nobody going to run him off. He's got equity built there. And that's my opinion. But money talks. So, that's how it goes. right there. And I'm over here. And see, Chris, you need to have your butt on our program, man. He's like, you can't give an ultimatum with no leverage. This is coming from Chris. And Jimmy Sexton, he is the world's best PR guy. And you know he is. He has played. I mean, I can tell you Arkansas has the state of Arkansas and Arkansas administration absolutely do not like this guy. He has used Arkansas to get more money for his clients. Gus Malzahn is the biggest one that the recent that comes to mind. But hey, that's an agent's job, and so that's what they do, right? So anyway, with that, but hey, I do have one question. We get diving in here with Georgia Tech next game. Pitt. What do you see? What do you think? Because I'll be honest with you guys, if Haynes wants to stay in this Heisman in the conversation, he cannot lose this Pitt game. No, and his time to shine is going to be in that Georgia game.
Well, no. I mean, they want an excuse to knock him out. They don't want him in New York. They want Mendoza and Pavia, and Ty Simpson may have played his way out, but you know who the main. But I'd love to see some video game numbers versus Pitt, a big win, so they can charge into that. The Georgia game. But as far as Pitt goes. They have a freshman quarterback. They made a switch early. They went to a freshman quarterback, gave the team a bit of a boost. And knowing that Georgia Tech likes to run the ball, they're pretty good run defense. Now you can like Notre Dame. They got the Heisman. They maybe the best running back in the country. He seems to be the running back.
Jeremiah Love. Yep.
Yeah, he's the running back in the Heisman talk. So so Notre Dame kind of walked on them. But it's at home. It's in Atlanta, in the flats, and I believe Georgia Tech. They just got too much to lose. They lose that game against Pitt. They can kiss the playoff goodbye. Now the two paths Georgia Tech has to get to the playoff is, I believe, beat Pitt and win the ACC championship. That obviously puts them in. But I believe if they were to beat Pitt. If they pulled off the upset against Georgia, the way this Georgia team's playing, the way they beat Texas, Georgia, they're probably top three. I know A&M would be up there, the record. Georgia is possibly not going to play in – they're going to finish the season possibly with one loss and not play in the SEC championship game.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'll say, if Georgia Tech were to beat Georgia on a Friday night with all eyes on it, the only game going in the Benz in Atlanta, if they were to beat Georgia and maybe lose the ACC championship game, I believe then you might get two ACC teams in there. I believe it'd be hard to leave Georgia Tech out if they beat Georgia, maybe lost a close. But no, I want them to run the table. Just go ahead and stamp it, get it in there, and. But no, I mean, Pitt, pretty good run defense, good freshman quarterback. It's in Atlanta, though. Georgia Tech has too much to lose. They're going to handle business. Now, I do want to but now while I'm thinking about it, I want to say props to Oklahoma, too. That was a big win over Alabama.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming like that. Yeah,
I mean, that helped Georgia. I'm sure. And then Oklahoma keeps themselves alive. They're one of the two-loss SEC teams.
Right.
So, boy, it's going to be, if there's a buttload of two-loss SEC teams at the end of this, man, it's going to be hard to funnel it down. But no, that's it. Georgia Tech's cool. I was frustrated with that game, but hey, a win's a win. You just got to the defense needs to tighten up, and let's go, baby. But how about that for Chris? LSU 1-point victory over Arkansas. Tell me what happened. Tell me what led to this.
You know what? Let me before we get into that. Well, I can tell you what led to this because I kind of wrote what we have just a problem. Arkansas just needs to be factory reset here shortly. You know what? You kind of led me into the one thing that I was trying to wait for. So, I'll tell you with Arkansas, with that game, I'll tell you right now, Taylor Green had probably the third worst game he ever had. I will tell you this. LSU had better be thankful for their back end. They are legit. Safety, cornerback, they got a lockdown a corner. It's probably one of the, if not the best in college, he's one of the best in college football. Our receivers could not get any separation. And and our best receiver, Omega Blake, there was a play that he didn't even fight. He didn't even try to fight to get in front of the receiver, to fight for his route. It just was, what they did. And then, and two, Harold Perkins, this guy here, the best games he's ever had in his whole damn life has been against his freshman. He had a breakout game against Arkansas, and then he's played like crap pretty much all season. And then he gets over here and he just blows up on Arkansas. I don't understand it. And what's it? Delane. I think it's Delane. Delane. Just Chris said, it's probably the best corner in all of in the game. That was our thing. We couldn't do it. And then, but Petrino, if he would attack the defensive ends running the ball, Jesus Christ, they ain't stopped us yet. Hadn't stopped the run yet. And he Bobby Petrino'd what he does. He did what Bobby Petrino does. I'm going to throw the damn ball because I ain't got a damn defense and I don't care. I'm going to throw the ball. And so that's what he did. And you know what? I don't even, it's like we almost won again. And I'm just so, when you lose this many
close
games, there's a culture, there's a problem, right? And as a coach, so I sat down and I wrote something here the other day, and I finished up today, and so I know this. So Ronnie, this is me just kind of reading what I wrote here, and I hope if there's any Arkansas fans out here, man, I hope y'all sit here because I did this. So this is my Arkansas read, okay, guys. And so I've been sitting here on a lot of emotions here lately: hurt, anger, embarrassment, confusion, trying to make sense of where the Arkansas Razorback program is headed. And the more I think about it, the harder it gets to avoid the truth. This program just isn't just slipping. It feels like it's losing its identity. And that more than the losses, that's what eats me. Now, before we get into that, I just read the first paragraph. So I left school from Arkansas, was it 2000? I've been in Oregon now for 4 years, April 8th. So I was at Arkansas. I went to Arkansas. As a 48-year-old man, I went back to school, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get on the staff as a student and everything. So I have there with during the Chad Morris era, which people are not going to be very receptive because Chad Morris was, I will say this, he loved his players. But he just had wasn't the best coaching situation for him, and that's why I'm gonna leave that. So when I wrote this, not only from a fan from Arkansas, but I've been on that sideline before, walking that sideline. So that's what eats me, because there's some great people there, great admin, but anyway, that's what ate me most, was that we're losing our identity. And maybe part of the reason it hits me so hard is because I remember what the program used to be. The first games I ever saw were in Little Rock. They were the old War Memorial days. I can still feel that energy, the roar, the intensity that made you believe Arkansas football meant something. And I still can picture Lou Holtz walking the sideline to death. He paced that thing like he was trying to wear the trench into the turf. There was passion, there was urgency, and there was pride. And that, if nothing else, as a young man in the early 80s, I remembered, because, when Holtz was there and it was 78. And like I said, we had the number one team in the nation. So we were good all the way up until the point where we got into the SEC. We kind of lost our way there. I'm not sure what happened. But anyway, let me get back to this. So, there is an entire generation of Arkansas football fans that have no clue how good Arkansas was at one time. They didn't experience the Hogs as a national threat, a relevant program, a team that demanded respect. They don't know what it felt like to watch Arkansas line up and expect to win, not hope to survive. And that's a generational disconnect that's fading memory. And that's the part that terrifies me the most, because right now I'm not convinced that the decision makers at the top that feel that same urgency. Hunter Yurachek, athletic director. I'm looking directly at him. I'm not saying he doesn't want to succeed, but wanting to succeed and building success are two very different things. And too often this administration feels passive, complacent, and slow. Fans have been begging for transparency, begging for accountability, begging for someone in leadership to acknowledge what all the fans in Arkansas see, and that's a program that's lost its direction. And let's talk about the recruiting department. This is, a support staff of 5. Listen, 5 right there, man. 5. That's not just inadequate. That's a structural failure, man. That's like you're walking into the SEC recruiting war with a slingshot while everybody else is carrying cannons. Other programs are building out full departments of analysts, personnel directors, scouts, evaluators, and Arkansas is acting like we're still in 1998. Even the bright spots like John Tyson leveraging his friendship with John Calipari to help get him here, that don't fix the deeper problems. One flashy hire doesn't repair foundational cracks. We need real structure, real expectations, real framework for evaluating coaches, performance metrics, program culture, benchmarks, and player development standards. Measurable accountability, not vibes, not loyalty, and not blind optimism. And in the middle of all this, you have David Basil, a guy who has been one of the most passionate ambassadors this state ever had. He's a former Razorback linebacker in the early 80s who did not just wear the jersey. He carried the pride of Arkansas on his back. And after his playing days, he became one of the strongest voices connecting the past to the present, founding the Borals Award given to the top assistant coach in the nation, building events that bring national attention to this program, and consistently reminding people what Razorback history means. He's been saying it for years that we need to bring back the old players, reconnect with legends, honor our history so that our identity doesn't fade away. And you know what? He's right. When you forget your history, you start accepting mediocrity, and it feels like that's exactly what's been happening. We need players who care about the hog on the side of that helmet, players who want to fight for the state, the fan base, the legacy. And right now, I'm not seeing enough of that fire, not enough pride, not enough connection to what the program stands for. And whose job is it to create that culture, to demand that passion, to enforce the standards? That responsibility starts at the top. Rebuilding trust with the fan base is essential. Arkansas fans aren't unreasonable. They're loyal beyond belief. They show up, they support, they wait, they hope, but they're tired. Hell, I'm tired. Tired of inconsistency, tired of the spin, tired of being told everything is fine when my own eyes are telling me a different story, and the fans are tired of being ignored. And we're literally being told, ignore your lying eyes. So if you want to fix the trajectory of this program, here's the blueprint. Be honest, be accountable, build real infrastructure, reconnect with your history, recruit like it's life or death, man. Recruiting is everything. And fill the building with people and staff and players who love the program as fiercely as the fans do. Right now, the future of the Razorbacks feel uncertain, but uncertainty is not destiny. It's a crossroads, and Arkansas needs leaders willing to choose the hard path, the transparent path, the demanding path, the honest path before the identity of this program erodes any further. I'm frustrated because I care. I care because this program matters. I care because I remember what it used to mean, and I care because it deserves better. Not someday, not eventually, but today. That's what I sat down and wrote with that.
Ooh, man, bravo, man. Man, that's spoken from the heart from a man that grew up in that state and not just a fan, like you said, roamed the sidelines and bleeds out Arkansas red. I mean, that was good. And I think the biggest point, in that was very well said, is nobody's connected to the history.
Yeah, absolutely. He just
history.
Yeah, David Basil came out last week, and there's a video, and I've got to figure this out where I can post videos on here. But he came out, man. He blasted Arkansas. Like they have let some people go that were the heart and soul of the administration, and we got a bunch of people now that don't know what Arkansas is. They're not from Arkansas. Where before we had some people in there from Arkansas. So there's something that's got to be done. And the thing is you know what? It starts. You got to, you know what? And Hunter Yurachek even said, and he even after Sam Pittman got let go, and I guess this is what bothered. He said that Coach Pittman was not set up for success because Arkansas did not have the support, financial support, to compete right now in the SEC. How long have you been the director? How long have you been the athletic director of Arkansas? How long have we been knowing about NIL? No, what you need to say, Hunter, is that, you know what? I got caught with my pants down and I wasn't prepared, and everybody else. You know why Lane Kiffin is a hot commodity? Because Lane Kiffin bends every rule he can on this NIL, on the transfer portal, because the NCAA ain't doing a damn thing, and he knows it. Everybody knows it. But hey,
play it, man.
But you know what? He's playing the game. He's playing the system, and look where he's going to get paid. While we're over here wondering what the hell's going on with our program. So you know what? And I hope if anybody here is listening and you're for Arkansas, man, you know what? I am going to post what I just read on my Twitter, and I will put it out. And I think Chris is going to do that too on his from my guy from Georgia on that. But you know that to me is from the heart, because man, I was there, dude. My first game, I watched Lou Holtz, man. Yeah, I watched Lou Holtz coach, dude, and I'm telling you, it was we won. We were good, and people didn't want to play us.
Houston Nutt, won games.
Yeah, Houston Nutt always had a defense that every other team respected. Because one thing about Arkansas is when in Houston Nutt's years, we were going to hit you. You were going to get smacked in the mouth. There was no back down. Now it's just it's soft all the way around.
I mean, I think the biggest point that you said, the fans are being deceived or something. The fans are being ignored. The fans are being ignored, and a lot of the people who are involved with the program, they just don't know the history. Maybe don't give a damn. But I believe you gotta know the history.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and I'm looking at Chris, and Chris is like, "Oh, that's a joke about the 5 recruits on recruiting staff." And I'll tell you this, and people don't know this: there's one other program in the SEC that has 5 recruiting people, and it's Vanderbilt. But they, believe it or not, they got the same. But Vanderbilt's their dude.
I always say this, man. I've been through there. I've been in that. I've seen a game in that stadium.
Yep.
I mean, come on, you got Walmart money flowing.
Well, that's what Chris is saying too. He's like, why is the Walmarts and Jones won't throw it? Because I think the Walmarts and
Jerry Jones is in the
Walmart. Jerry Jones, the Walmart, the Waltons, the JB Hunts, all those. There was money there, but I'm not going to give my damn money if I've got an administration over here that is not going to support and not going to do. Because, like I said, they need to build an infrastructure. They need to get in dude. We have, they have the I think it's the program they have where they can recruit high school. They also have one for the transfer portal. Arkansas hadn't even got it. They don't have it. Like every other school. And, I'm like, what the hell are you supposed to compete if you don't have all the tools everybody else is? This isn't rocket science. It's money. Spend it. If you want to compete, spend it. If you don't, then relegate our ass and get us out of the conference because I'm tired of being embarrassed.
The money's there. You even mentioned before, he's talking about the coach. They're prepared to pay the right coach the right money, so, but
right.
You got a new coach coming in there, so you got to get that right. But like you said, and then the new coach can get in there and fix that recruiting staff, plus that up a little bit, facilities and all that. But I mean, it's a nice place. All that. I mean, when you're driving, coming from Missouri, going into there, you go through.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you go through that. I mean, that's a nice corporate area there. You can see the money from Bentonville all the way into the Fayetteville.
Ronnie, when I was going to school there, and me and my wife was there. By the way, I got to give props to my wife. She's the smartest of the Razorback fans. She's over there watching. She's been watching the Razorback basketball game. Hopefully we won that. I'm pretty certain we did.
Money on that, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't gamble, I'm glad you said that
about the Calipari.
Oh yeah. So I had to give because my wife she loves her Arkansas Razorback basketball and she can almost outschool most men in football now being the wife of a coach here now. So, but she's doing good with that and I appreciate her. But yeah, just this whole they got to get this right, and because we're in a time that I feel if we don't get this right and you let NIL pass you by and you let because I'm afraid there's fixing to be the haves and the have-nots. You better have your ass on the side of the haves because the have-nots are going to be gone.
I was saying like before Brent Key come on and he rose up from being an interim coach, like Georgia Tech had gotten so bad. And, I always thought that someday, college football might shrink the FBS Division I. There's 100 some odd, maybe create some super division. I mean, I kept thinking, man, if it keeps going like this and they shrink it to 50 teams or whatever, Georgia Tech's not going to make it. I mean, they were like, shoot, man. I mean, it ended up being like Tulane or something like that,
Right.
But thank God for Brent Key. And hey, you talk about, him being an alum and he played at Georgia Tech. He had the passion, he comes.
That's it. Yeah.
Passion. Said he bleeds, the Georgia Tech colors. And
that's right.
He come in with the passion and he's got this team, maybe a playoff berth possibly looming. But I mean, they were in the gutter. I mean, they were so far in it that they would have, like you used the term, relegated. I mean, they could have possibly gotten relegated
Right.
to the lower tier, man, kind of like they do with soccer, But I know if Arkansas gets the right man in there that has the passion, like you say, they can do something with that place. Definitely.
Yeah, but the thing is the administration has to get their act together. No coach is going to want to come if they're not going to be supported. The worst damn thing that Hunter Yurachek could have said, Sam Pittman didn't have the resources he needed to compete in the SEC this year. When he said that, you can ask my wife if she was in there. My first question was, he needs to go. Like, Yurachek needs to go. That's your one damn job. Have money. Make this program, not all of them, but every one of all the programs, not just football, all of them. And it's just like they're not even trying. So, in my opinion, that's and hopefully something changes here soon. So, with that being said, I'd like to dive into something real fast because you brought it up and it kind of threw me off. So, you had a question last week about the Heisman Trophy. We were talking about the Heisman, how many opportunities they have to do this. So, the 2025 Heisman voting deadline is Monday, December the 8th. Ballots will be distributed on December the 1st. So the finalists will be announced on December the 8th, and the Heisman ceremony will be done on December the 13th. So there are still few games to go where Heisman, there's some opportunities for people to move up, move down.
So those conference championship games will be seen before,
yes.
Right. So that's good.
Yes. Good. And with that being said, I would say with my Heisman picks, with what I had, I think Mendoza stays the same where he's at, kind of the top. And you got Julian saying, quarterback Ohio State. He did not have the best game. If you talk to me, I'm going to say this. And you know what? People can get on to me how you want to.
That was very mid.
He had a very mid game, but Marcel Reed had a 4th and 3, or he had to do in the Notre Dame game at Notre Dame. He came through in the clutch time. And then he just blew up that second half. He led his team back from 27 down to win that game. Yes, that was a Heisman moment, in my opinion. Marcel Reed has definitely moved himself up. And here's my guy Chris from Georgia. I almost did this last week because I was looking at the stats and I was just like, let me go. I really want to go through them. But you know what? I'm gonna. So Ty Simpson, in my opinion, has slid down. He slid down a little bit with there.
Yeah. This crunch time, you can't be losing these games.
No, you can't be losing these games right now. But now, Gunnar Stockton.
Well, he had a monster
quarterback,
game.
Georgia. But wait, there's more than just that. I did a little deep dive, and I still couldn't do it. I couldn't believe this, So this last game, he threw for 229 yards. He counted for 5 touchdowns, a 35-10 win for them against Texas.
Yeah, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rush. Yep. So.
And it one INT, right? Now, for the second time in 5 weeks, this cat has produced 5 touchdown performance against a top 10 opponent, right? While throwing just 5 incompletions during that time, man. And that's right, my boy Chris over here from Georgia, gunner for Heisman. The dude is starting to make me believe, Chris.
The nation's finally, I knew who he was. Mm-hmm. I like the kid. I mentioned his name, maybe on one of the first episodes here, but the nation's really seeing what he's got now.
Well, well, I mean, he's only thrown 5 incompletions throwing 5 incompletions against those top 10 performance, and he accomplished that, and also accomplished a feat in Georgia's 43-35 win over Ole Miss. In his last 4 games, Stockton has completed 74.6% of his passes for 251 yards, with 15 total touchdowns, just 2 incompletions. They're averaging 35.8 points per game. That stretch moved up from number 4. Now, if you'd told me a month ago dude, what this is telling me now, everybody better be paying attention to Georgia, because Georgia is starting to they're starting to peak, baby. Kirby's got them boys playing. I'm telling you.
I mean, they were getting off the slow starts, but no, this Stockton kid, he's well liked by his teammates. The fan base loves him. He's a guy's guy. I'm sure your Georgia boy Carson Beck, he just never resonated with the fans, and he was driving the Lambo, and maybe
Well,
like that kind of guy that's too good for his teammates type of dude. I don't know.
I said this to Chris.
I love that kid there, man, and the only thing I kind of worry about with his Heisman, some people might be, maybe a next year type of guy because he's young.
Well,
they still
hold on,
Mendoza, but no, I know what I'm telling you. But that Haynes King, Gunnar Stockton game.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna play big time. Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope they both ball out. But no, Gunnar Stockton, he's kind of a late horse, even though a lot of us knew him. Your Georgia boy knew him, since he didn't start last year until the very end, the Notre Dame game. But but I mean, he's making a late surge. Georgia's winning these big games against, just destroyed Texas.
But here's the thing though. Gunnar has won all of his games against. I think what they lose. They lost one here. I think if I'm not mistaken. But
Alabama.
Yeah. That's right. Alabama. I knew it was. Yeah. But I mean, but all his games, man, his best games have been against. He's done it in the big moments, and that's what I like. And I like what Kirby, Coach Smart said. He said he's playing well, and he's playing to make the people around him better, and his value toward it.
Exactly.
So that's exactly what a Heisman candidate's supposed to do, right?
Let me ask you a question. Okay, so next week they got a paycheck game against, I believe it's Charlotte, right? Now you as a coach, okay, so you're realizing Gunnar Stockton, he's getting some Heisman love all of a sudden now. So as a coach, how much do you let him how much do you let him play versus how much do you rest him and not want him to get hurt? Like, do you pull him in the third? I mean, of course, it depends on the flow of the game. Let's say they're beating them by 5 touchdowns early third quarter. Do you just let him stay in there and get them touchdowns and them numbers, or do you pull him?
Well, if he's got if they have that score already, I'm pretty certain he's already going to have his numbers he needs. But but you know what? I'm not even going to try to second guess what Coach Smart would do. That I mean, he is
how long they let him hang in that game, But the Georgia Tech game Friday night, all eyes on it.
Right.
The entire United States will get to see those two studs battle.
Right.
It was a great one. I think Haynes King had like 5 touchdowns in that game last time, over 400 yards. So, Georgia boy. They didn't like Carson Beck too much. They love Gunnar Stockton. He's coming on. I'm a Georgia Tech fan, but I recognize greatness. I always liked Stetson Bennett.
Right.
He's got that Stetson Bennett kind of dog in him. He's having a season that maybe stacks up with, Stetson Bennett's Heisman campaign season.
Right.
So, he deserves some love.
Well, and Chris from Georgia, here comes the stats I was telling you about. So this is what caught my, and I'm comparing everybody right now. I'm comparing him against the top, what I consider, and what a lot of other agents consider the top 3 Heisman vote getter, what they say. So if you compare Stockton, he's passed for 2,269 yards, 27 touchdowns, and had 8 rushing, and has only had 3 interceptions. Now, compare that with Reed. He's passed 2,632 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 rushing, 8 picks. Sayin out of Ohio State, he's amassed 2,675 yards with 25 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, while Mendoza has tossed 2,641 yards, 35 TDs, 5 rushing, and 5 interceptions. Now, here we go, Chris. Now, let's see. Gunnar has done this with a strength of schedule of 12, according to ESPN, the 12th hardest schedule in the nation. Alabama, Ty Simpson has done what he's done with the 10th toughest schedule in the nation. This is all according to ESPN. And Texas A&M, Reed has done what he's done with the 18th toughest schedule in the nation. Now, I get over to Mendoza. He's kind of unrespectable a little bit. He's there, he's got the Indiana strength of schedule is number 38. Ohio State is 50th. And I'm throwing this for you out here, Ronnie. So Georgia Tech strength of schedule is 72.
Well, so the problem with that is Deion Sanders in Colorado let us down, and Clemson and Deion Sanders, they let us down on this. But hey, it's going to pump back up these next 2 weeks. But no, that's the knock on Haynes King is, I mean, Colorado, man, come on, Deion, you're supposed to be better.
Well, I will say this for Haynes King: if he goes in and he beats Georgia, I think he shoots up in the talk. But I tell you, if Haynes King, I'm not Haynes, but if Gunnar Stockton goes out and he handles business, and I'm telling you, from a coach's eye right now, Georgia's scary because it seems like they're putting all the pieces together right now.
If Gunnar Stockton whoops Georgia Tech, and then things play out to where Georgia can play in that SEC championship game, and then he balls out there in the SEC championship.
Yeah, you got it. He's going to be serious. He's got to be taken serious.
Now, I will say the Vegas Mendoza's he's the top dog as far as Vegas odds goes. For some, they like that guy, but there's still meat on. Like Saying still got to play Michigan in a Big Ten championship game. And then Gunnar Stockton, he's still got some meat. Like I said, if he Georgia Tech and then SEC championship game,
which is probably going to be Texas A&M if they're undefeated, and that's going to be A&M and Georgia.
So think about it. He would be going against 2 Heisman candidates back to back.
And here's what I think: if he wins, or if they go to the championship game and Reed pulls that game off, I think that automatically puts them in 1 or 2. It has to, in my opinion, just because of strength of schedule alone. But but we'll see. But that's what I say. And Chris, I hope you enjoyed. I see your wow comment over here. You probably didn't know some of those stats, or you probably did. But if you didn't, I hope you liked them there. And with that being said, right here, we got 10 minutes, and I'm going to move over. And I told y'all this was about to get serious, and I'm about to get serious from a coaching point of view because I have seen some things that scare me, that really scare me, and I'm going to be real about this. So. And I challenge everybody out here right now. I hate to say this, but I have watched some games that I'm like, that player had a prop bet going on. I don't gamble. I don't play. I don't gamble. I've coached. I've done things. You don't do that. You do not do anything. If you're in a position where you can affect or influence a game at all, you better not have a DraftKings account or whatever. I'm sorry. If you're a coach and you gamble, get away from your sport because you're going to be tempted. You're going to be done.
You can't be gambling on your own sport.
So I wrote a little op-ed on this that I did right here, and I'm actually going to put this out. So I don't know where I'm going to send it, but I won't. Gambling is eating the sport alive, and college football is next if the Power 4 conferences don't act because the NCAA won't. And I said, I'll be honest. I've loved this. I'm sorry I wrote this, and I'm going to go through this quick, and then let you do, and then I'll let you do your picks. But I feel this from my heart right here, guys, and I mean it. And if you gamble, and I'm going to tell you right now, I will tell you this before I read this. If you gamble and you bet money on games, I will tell you, and I'm looking, and I know, Ronnie, you probably do, you're a fool because the game is too easily manipulated, and I can prove it. It's too easy. It's too easy. You're not playing a fair game. It's not. So anyway, I wrote this. So I'll be honest. I've loved sports my entire life, but I've never been more worried about the state of games I care about than I do now. Everywhere I look, the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, gambling scandals, they're no longer shocking. They're predictable. And now with college basketball already showing cracks, it's only a matter of time until the same rot spreads fully into college football. What we're watching unfold isn't a handful of bad actors or isolated missteps. It's structural integrity crisis, accelerated by the explosive growth of legalized sports betting and the league's own willingness to take money while pretending they're above being influenced by it. If college football, especially the Southeastern Conference, don't take bold, uncomfortable action right now, it will eventually face a scandal that shakes the sports to its core. The pro leagues are warning signs, not outliers. Let's start with the obvious. The NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball have already been burned. We all remember the Tim Donahue NBA scandal. NBA just banned Marcano from baseball. I can't say his first name. It's
the two pitchers.
Yeah, the two pitchers. Yes, for betting on games involving his own team. NFL players have already been suspended for placing bets. NFL players have already been suspended for placing bets on from the team facilities, some even in their own games. These aren't fringe guys in obscure leagues. These are major sports with billion-dollar oversight operations, and they can't keep gambling corruption out. If they can't stop it, what does college football have without major reform? Look at the trends. Players and refs have more exposure to gambling than ever to gambling influences. Prop bets, micro bets make it easier to manipulate outcomes without changing who wins. Gambling companies are everywhere, on jerseys, in commercials, in stadiums. Sports have never been more valuable and therefore never more vulnerable. College sports are already being pulled under. College basketball has already been hit with multi-school investigations into players betting on games, sharing inside information, and manipulating play for profit. This wasn't in the shadows. This was happening in major programs. College football, with far more money, more publicity, and higher betting volume, is the next target. It's naive to think student athletes, many of whom are under financial pressure, even in the NIL era, aren't susceptible. Even more naive to pretend that college conferences have the monitoring infrastructure that professional leagues. They don't, and not even close. If a few prop bets in a Tuesday basketball game can attract manipulation, imagine a high-stakes SEC matchup with millions flowing through sports books. The temptation isn't the exception; it's baked in. The SEC and other conferences must step up, and I'm speaking directly to the SEC here, because where the SEC goes, the rest of college football follows. These are the moves that must be made. Reduce or eliminate prop bets in college sports. These bets are a ticking time bomb, in my opinion. They are the easiest to manipulate and the hardest to detect. Conferences should pressure state regulators and sports books to pull them entirely from college events. Build a real integrity monitoring system, not a token partnership, not a press release, real-time analysis of betting patterns, including player-specific wagers conducted by an independent firm with teeth. Mandatory gambling education and support for athletes. And this one I know and this is true. This is true when I read it. Teach them how gamblers approach manipulation, teach them how they can be targeted, and give them the confidential reporting channels. This cannot be an optional slideshow at orientation, and that's what it used to be. They would sit and watch a slideshow, and there was your gambling deal. Don't do it, and that was all that was ever said. Well, it's got to be better than that. Draw a bright and unmistakable line on discipline. If a player bets on their sport or on their own team, the hammer must fall fast and hard. Not selectively, not quietly. Consistency preserves integrity. Note, if the NFL needs backup, if the NFL needs to back up college football, if a player violates the gambling rules in college and is banned, that ban should automatically apply to the NFL. Violating the integrity of the game should have lasting and lifetime consequences in regards to the sports that they were playing. Just the same as Pete Rose, banned for life. You know, if you're willing to cheat in one game, you're willing to do it on the other, and I don't trust you anymore at that point. Number 5, rethink the relationship with sportsbooks. Right now, the conferences want the gambling revenue without gambling consequences. Well, I hate to tell y'all, that era is over. If you want integrity, you can't be in business with the entities profiting from the same risk that you claim to fear. And we need one more thing, and this is easy. God, this is so easy. It's the easiest thing you can do. Referees must speak. If I could choose one reform that instantly increases transparency and accountability, it's this. Every referee should be required to speak to the media after every game. Not occasionally, not in a pool report, every single game. Referees should explain controversial calls. They should be publicly accountable for game-changing decisions. They should feel the weight of transparency just like the players and coaches already do. Not because I think officials are corrupt, but because corruption thrives in silence. Light is a disinfectant, and if a referee knew that they would have to publicly justify a questionable call, it becomes exponentially more difficult for any gambling influence to operate. The simple truth is this: fans no longer trust officials, and gambling has only amplified that distrust. The only way to restore confidence is to require referees to stand in front of the camera and answer questions like everyone else in that damn arena. Referee transparency is a low-hanging fruit. Requiring game officials to publicly address their calls after each game is a relatively simple reform, but one with potentially outsized benefits. It builds trust, raises accountability, and it makes corruption harder. If you don't act now, it will be too late. Sports betting is not going away, nor should it. But if college football doesn't protect itself, the damage will be permanent. People always say this sport is too big to fail. Well, so were others until they failed. What keeps sports sacred is the belief that what we're watching is real. The integrity of the competition game is the entire product. Let me repeat that. The integrity of the competition or the game, that's the product. If you disrupt that product, you've lost. So don't lose that. And nothing else matters. Not the NIL deals, not the TV contracts, not the stadium, not the rivalries. The SEC and every major conference has a choice to make. They can try to wish this problem away, or they can confront it aggressively, transparently, and immediately, because the gamblers are already here and they're not waiting. And that's what I have to say about that.
Right on. I like that. Make the referees answer the questions. Just the problem. One of the problems is the leagues have gotten they're in cahoots with the books now. Like ESPN bet, ESPN's all in with them, and the leagues are.
And that's what I'm telling y'all. And that's what every gambler out there.
You remember, 20 years ago, the Vegas people and the legitimate sports people were like this completely separate entities.
Oh yeah, that's the way it should be.
And nowadays, they pretty much they legitimize. They basically, a lot of the Vegas people they work in the leagues and for ESPN and that's where a lot of that corruption's coming from. And I agree with what you're saying.
Well,
though. I mean,
here's what I'm saying. ESPN
has to address something because.
It's already happened in college basketball. It's happened in college baseball. Alabama's former head coach of baseball was literally caught trying to place a bet to a guy in Cincinnati at a thing. Like, it's already happening. So the NCAA is not doing a damn thing about it. If you want your product, if ESPN or the coaches, or the administrations, they want this product to survive, they better step in, because it's going to get ugly, in my opinion.
For sure. And
because I personally have seen two plays, and I hate to say this, and you probably know, and I'm not going to say the team, but y'all probably know which one. There's two plays that I saw two players. There's no doubt in my damn mind that they did not do a prop bet. No doubt in my mind. Absolutely not.
What was the NBA guys, the way they did the prop bet, they basically told all their inside people.
Yeah, that's not hard to do.
They told them to take the under, and then those players just faked an injury and pulled themselves from the game. So,
absolutely. Yeah, it's that easy. Prop bets and micro bets are too easy to manipulate because they don't change the outcome of the game. They normally, so yeah.
I agree with you. But one thing about sports, though, whenever a player gets involved, they're completely blackballed, like, forever. They never come back from that, But no, I agree with you. And with that being said,
let's get into your picks, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. All right, 5 good ones. Last week was kind of rough. Boss won by like 1.5, probably one of those prop bets. But so this week, what are Ronnie B's picks of the week? Tulsa is at Army, and Army at home. I like Army minus 8.5 at home versus Tulsa. USC at Oregon. There's a big game. I like USC plus 10.5. It's a good bit of points there. Nebraska at Penn State. I'm going Nebraska plus 9.5. I always like to take the points when I can. Tennessee at Florida. That used to be a good SEC rival game. I'm going Florida plus 4.5 at home. I like them getting points at home. And then last but not least, Arizona State is at Colorado. I've been down on Colorado. It's always been a good bet to bet against them. So taking Arizona State minus 7.5, one of my few favorites. So
that was Arizona State?
Arizona State minus 7.5. So it's Army minus 8.5. USC Trojans plus 10.5. Nebraska plus 9.5. Florida plus 4.5, and Arizona State minus 7.5. That's one of these picks of the week.
All right. Well, hey guys, it is now. We are about to hit our hour time right
here, baby. On the money,
money right there, on the money. So, hey guys, we appreciate it. We're gonna be here same time next week, and hopefully we get Chris Martin over here, get some LSU stuff. Yeah, come on, Chris, because me and this guys talk football for all around. all around the world. Excuse me there, but we've been all around the world doing stuff. So I'm excited to have him on with this team right here. I think it's going to be great. But hey, everybody, we appreciate y'all being here tonight. It was great. And hey, do us a favor. If you would, go to CFB_SZN on YouTube and hit that subscribe button, and do it on X if you don't mind. It will. We are, look, man. For instance, we're just normal guys right here. We're two veterans. We're just trying to make something happen. And we the more subscribers we get, the more it helps us, and it helps us to get out to more people. And that's what we're trying to do. So we sure would appreciate that support, guys. And we hope to see y'all next week.
Sir.
All right, man. Have a good one, Ronnie. We'll see you next week, bud.
Yes, sir.
All right. And strand.